Flosstube. I'm Jessica, the Rainy Day Stitcher. Today is Sunday, April 18th of 2021, and this is my Flosstube number 5. If you are new to the channel, welcome. This is my space where I talk about cross-stitch, other crafty things that I'm up to, a little bit about sort of me and my life, and then whatever else I'm sort of into at the moment. Today I have a finish, a couple of new starts, some whips, and it's going to be shocking, but like a semi-reasonable amount of haul. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I have a tendency to have mountains of haul, but I'm still waiting for stuff to come in. So, you know, it's a medium amount, or at least a medium amount for me. So, let's get into it. I hope that you all are doing well. It's been an emotional time, right, for our country, for our sort of people of color, and I am not having a ton of stitchy bug at the moment. My stitchy bug is a little overworked with the sort of just the pain that I feel only in empathy, right? Because I'm not a person of color, but I am trying to be supportive of my students. I'm trying to be supportive of my colleagues. I'm trying to take this and put sort of energy into and work into things that will hopefully you know, be sort of healing for me, but also for people in my life. So I'm doing work with my colleagues in terms of developing anti-racist programming and things like that. So that's kind of where a lot of my energy is going. It's also the last month or so of the semester, and so I'm coming down into it. I have a pile of grading, and so I don't have a ton to show you today, but I thought I would go ahead and record a video, stick it out there, sort of keep myself on track, right? I also have caught the knitting bug, so I'll talk about that in a little bit. So anyway, let's get into it. I hope that you're well. I really do. I want to give a couple of shout outs out to friends that I have made in the last week, actually. So both of these stitchers and floss tubers are part of the Under 1000 sub club. So I love the idea of supporting some of the sort of the little guys, right, in the Flosstube community. So the first one is Esther, the Danish stitcher. If you're not watching Esther, you totally should. She has such a dry sense of humor, and I love it. It's so great, and she works on these really cool projects and is totally enabling me to love on the hedge pigs, and we were sort of like bonding over our shared love of spring bulbs, Netherlandish scholar, right? But yeah, so Esther's great, right? And she gave me a beautiful shout out that like was the sweetest thing in her last video. So thank you for that, Esther. And then the other is a floss tuber. There goes the cat out the door. That I only just sort of stumbled upon actually through a comment on Esther's video, and that is Christy of Christy's Corner. And as Christy put it, we are like basically the same person. That I'm an art historian, she's a historian. We both work sort of at the end of the Middle Ages, even though I sort of slide into the Renaissance. But we both work on Northern Europe. We both sort of are interested in the history of our craft and what we're doing. She is doing this amazing Hildegard of Bingen mystic egg embroidery that is like jaw-dropping, and yeah, so go check out Christy's Corner. So my first thing is I have a finish. This is the Sense and Sensibility Sal, the Sense and Sensibility Stitch Along with Stitching Book Club. So Kristen at Stitching Book Club and Sapphire Mountain Handcrafts puts together 4 books a year, designs patterns that correspond to the books in some way, and then posts reading discussions that go along with the book. So the first one this year was Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. And this pattern is sort of more influenced by Jane Austen and Regency England than Sense and Sensibility itself, but it's still beautiful and I love it. So this is done on the 28 count Monaco that Kristen dyed and sold as kits, and I did it with most of the called for colors. So my hand's getting a little tired. So Kristen is very aware that there are people all around the world who want to participate in Stitching Book Club and might not have the same access to materials or be able to get stuff shipped in the same amount of time. So she published a conversion to be done on white fabric for people who live in other parts of the world and might have difficulty getting their hands on sort of this shade of blue, or to buy the kits that she sold. And part of that conversion was incorporating, I'll come in close here, this really, really beautiful lilac color. And from the moment that she sort of released the first part, I was looking for places to incorporate this lilac. And I kept thinking, well, maybe I'll do it in these little flowers. And I was having a real hard time deciding. And then my friend Alexis, who's a local Colorado stitcher, did basically this conversion where they swapped out the parts that were these blue sort of ribbons for the lilac, and I was just like, oh, that is so beautiful. So I totally hat tipped to Alexis and copied her idea, and I frogged out the blue that I already put in and put in this lilac, and I love it. I'm not really sure when I'm going to fully finish it. So for people who are new to cross stitch, we would call this a finish. That means all of the stitching is done, but right, it's still just this thing, right? Like, what am I going to do with it? I guess I could use a thumbtack and just write on the wall, but I put a lot of hours into this, right? So a fully finished object would be something that is ready to hang on the wall. So this isn't cross stitch, it's a painting. But like this would be an example of something that's fully finished, it's framed, it's presented, it's ready to go. So Kristen designed this amazing full finishing for this, where, and she sort of, here I have it here, part of the kit, there's this white cording and then this blue fabric, and it's almost the exact same shade as the cross stitch fabric. And so she gave us instructions on how to do this sort of gathered, like a ruching of fabric and then the white cording around. And it is just so gorgeous. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to have this done and on my wall and beautiful, right? I'm trying to kind of put this. So I haven't fully finished anything, ever. I did one little Mill Hill kit. Maybe I'll bring it in one day. It's on my refrigerator, but it's out of paper, and you just cut out the paper and glue felt on the back. It's really not that involved. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just set this aside with the fabric and the cording, and then maybe this summer I'll finish a couple of things. And once I do that, maybe I'll feel brave enough to sort of try this amazing, gorgeous framing sort of instructions that Kristen sent. The next Stitching Book Club book is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I'm looking forward to it. I love Little Women. I think it's a really beautiful story, and it is a really sort of interesting cultural document, right, about women in publishing, sort of proto-feminist ideas with Jo, but my public library book club like just read it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to participate in Little Women. I'm very excited to stitch up whatever Kristen releases. But I think for my audiobook, which is what I sort of listen to while I work on the project, I'm going to do Little Men, which is the sequel to Little Women. I've never read it, and I think this will be sort of interesting to see sort of how that compares to Little Women. So that is my stitching book club piece. But I am a joiner. You start a Sal. If I am able to, I'm going to dive right in. I'm currently kitting up Kristen the Arctic Mermaid to join Julie, Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World, and the Mermaids Are Real sale, for example. And then when I heard that the Steel City Stitchers were doing Hedgehog House, I love hedge pigs, and I was like, I'm in. I already have the pattern. I had a fabric that I thought would work. And so I already went ahead and got this started. So this is Hedgehog House by Lindy Stitches, in a stitch along hosted by the Steel City Stitchers. I'm going to put all this stuff down in the description box. Right now I sort of just have some of the edging in the house, and so I will insert a picture of what the full pattern looks like here. And this is so cute. I am loving it. It's fun. It's an easy stitch, but you might notice that my circle is not curving back around. It might be a little hard to make out, but it's going across. And that's because I have decided that I'm going to duplicate my hedge pigs. So I'm going to have another house here, and then another sort of large tulip, and the edging, the sort of border is going to go all the way around. And I'm doing this because I'm going to do like a his and her hedge pig house. My spouse, who I call my hedge pig, totally true story, he lives in another state, and so I thought the idea of these sort of his and her hedge pig houses was really cute. I also have changed up a fair number of the colors, just in order to get the same sort of contrast with my fabric here, which is a little bit darker than the model stitching. And so I wanted things that were just a little bit brighter. See, I think if I go like this, that's a pretty good color with the sort of peaches and the pinks, and the like really beautiful mint green of the grass down here. So I'm working on this mostly in the evenings. It is a fair amount of counting, even though it's a small piece, but it's going along really well. I'm really, really enjoying it. So at the same time that I started more or less the Hedgehog House, I started another stitch along. Joiner syndrome, totally have FOMO. It's a thing. And so in addition to Henrietta Hedge Pig, I have started the Peruvian Cat Sal. Oh my God, isn't this just so much fun? So this is Peruvian Cats Reflection Sampler by Anna at Peruvian Flair on Etsy. And the Sal is hosted by, I think, Bendy Stitchy, but I'm not entirely sure, so don't quote me on that. But this is so much fun. So this fabric is actually the same blue as the Hedge Pig House, and both of these are on Riddles by Valerie's Live and Die LA. Love Valerie. It's a 16 or 18 count Aida. It's so soft and just a joy to stitch on. And then this amazing, oh, there we go, colors are, he's like flapping all over the place. I'm sorry, everyone. That's sort of true to color there under my lamp. This sort of peachy, fuchsia-y colorway is Peachy Hearts, also by Valerie at Live and Die LA. So this is my first time working with her floss. She's only recently started dyeing floss, but I am loving it. Oh God, there it goes, it picks it up. Look how gorgeous that is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the cat and his reflection in the variegated, and then there's a cat over on this side and another one over here. I'm going to go sort of peach, pink, peach pink, and then do the border in the variegated. And I will insert a picture of what the total pattern is going to look like here. So I'm having a ton of fun with the Peruvian Cats. Because it's monochromatic, it's pretty easy stitching, and so I've sort of been working on it during meetings, and when I talk to my husband on the phone. We've been playing video games on the iPad, and so that's usually where I keep my patterns. I can pull this one up on my phone and zoom in, and it's just fine. So I'm really liking having that kind of monochromatic, not a sort of ton of really complicated stitching project. I tend to sort of go towards the really sort of what we call the BAPs, the big ass projects that are really complicated. And so I'm finding I like the sort of also having smaller and things that are maybe not quite so complicated in my rotation. So in addition to those new starts, I have two more projects. The first is, and this is still in the Q-Snap, but I'm working on my Dark Queen of the Sea Part 8, which is the trident. You can sort of see it here. There's some sort of peeking down below. I need to finish it here, and then my stitching stops right about here. There's a little bit below. I need to sort of move the Q-Snap again. I am loving this. We're starting to get a little bit of the story of the Dark Queen. And she is so fabulous. I'm going to insert a picture of what Part 8 sort of looks like here. And I've been making some changes on this, and that's nothing against Aaron at Autumn Lane Stitchery and his amazing design. But I did do a change in the crown that she has right up above, and I blinged it up a little bit. And so I realized that the trident really needs some bling too. So come in so you can hopefully see. So I've been using some Krennic blending filament because I have a ton of it from another project. And get some of the glitzy in there. And I liked the sort of shading that Aaron did, but the effect was that it turned out really yellow, and I don't really like yellow. So I like the way that using just some of the blending filament in the top leg, see if we can maybe tilt it around a little bit, you can catch it, sort of mutes out that yellow just a smidge and gives it a really nice metallic sheen. So I think I have just a couple of days stitching on this, and I'll hopefully have this done this week and be ready for Part 9. We're coming down to it, and I am so excited that I have been keeping up with this stitch along. So the other project that I have been working on is my Stitch Asia project. So Abby Bella Stitch started a stitch along for March, because we're in April now. I have to think about like where I am in time and place. As sort of a response to the horrific increase in violence and prejudice against Asian immigrants and Asian Americans. And so the idea is that you can stitch on any project where the iconography or imagery is inspired by one of the many different cultures in Asia, or you can work on a project by an Asian or Asian American designer, or you can work with materials by an Asian or Asian American producer. So it has been so much fun to follow the hashtag and see the huge variety of things that fall sort of under the Stitch Asia hashtag. So my project for this is this one. I need to pick a not quite so heavy book. So this is my Chinese Landscape by Apple Jam. It's this really beautiful image that is based off of classic Song and Ming scroll painting. I'll insert a picture of what the full thing looks like here. So So you can see we've got another sort of bits of the hills and mountains in the midground coming through, and then we're starting to get one of the pine trees that's in the foreground down here. So it's slowly starting to turn into a landscape. I am loving this stitch. It is also just a few colors. It's on 14 count Aida. It's beautiful. So this one has also been just a real joy to work on. And then I really like that I am supporting sort of the hashtag Stitchasia, as well as Apple Jam, who is an Asian designer. And because representation matters, it just does. And it lives in one of my Garan tote bags, my peacock bag, which I love very, very much. And really, that, other than some yarn work, is all I've been working on. So let's get into the haul. Like I said, it's a semi-reasonable amount. So I have my little bucket o haul here. So the first thing is a little notions bag. So yesterday was local yarn day, local yarn store day, and so I decided to do a little crawl. My mom originally, she's a huge knitter and spinner and weaver, was going to go with me, but she got her second COVID shot on Thursday, and yesterday just wasn't up to it, but she gave me a shopping list and sent me off. And in one of the stores, they had this amazing project bag, and fair warning, not safe for work, okay? So if you have kids in the room, cover their ears if that's a thing that you do as a parent. But look at this little bag that says, please don't fuck with my shit. Hell yeah, I love this so much. And it's one of these blue Q bags, these sort of pouches. I have a couple of these that I'm using for things, and I love it. So the minute I saw this, I got some yarn too, but I was like, fuck yeah, I need this. I need this in my life. I'm still kind of on the fence whether I'm going to use it for crafting stuff or take it to my office. Have it in the bottom drawer of my desk, kind of a thing for on days when, like, I need that. I also scored 2 bags in the Garan Tote Bag sale that happened last weekend, and they've sort of arrived. I won a gift card to Garan Stitchery, and so I splurged and got 2 bags as opposed to just the one I had originally planned. So the first one is, I got a books bag. I love books. I mean, I'm sure that is apparent since I started off talking about Sense and Sensibility and whatnot, but I love how the inside are pages with different typesets, and yeah, so I'm not quite sure what project I'm going to put in this, but I have several ideas, and I love it so much. And then the other one I got, yeah. Sorry, I'm like getting all like woozy-eyed. They're doing a series of states, and they head to Texas. And I was born in Missouri. Most of my family's in Missouri, but I grew up in Texas. We moved to the sort of Dallas area when I was 6. I went to college, several different schools up and down the I-35 corridor. My family moved to Austin, and I was there for 8 years before moving here to Colorado, where I am now. And it's kind of funny because, well, I should say my spouse still lives in Austin, right? So I'm still there several times a year. I'm totally a taco snob, and I get a chance to get my, like, margaritas and go to Lady Bird Lake and go stand up paddleboarding and watch the bats, and also we came up with a bunch of stuff to do this last summer, right, because of the pandemic. So things like going to the park and watching the bats, you can totally do it outside, socially distanced, that sort of thing. But when I lived there, I was like, couldn't wait to get out of Texas. And now that I'm gone, like, I definitely have a little bit of homesickness. So I thought the Texas bag, and I'm a UT grad, so like the Longhorn, and the, like, Lone Star boot, and the prickly pear of cacti, and it also has some of the names, right? So you have the state. It's a little hard to see in the way this particular fabric was cut. Oh my god, we got the armadillos! Love armadillos. They are so cool. They, a weird animal fact of the day, they always have twins when they have a litter, and they're genetically identical, so they always have a pair of identical twins. that are little clones of each other. Well, not clones, but you know what I mean. But we have sort of names of like major cities. So we've got Amarillo, San Antonio. Oh, we've got bluebonnets. It's bluebonnet season. My husband's been sending me pictures of bluebonnets. And so on and so forth. And then the inside is all of these different Texas cities written out. And I should say, you know, when I go to visit my husband, I oftentimes drive. So I am relatively familiar with not all of the great state of Texas because, boy, is it big. But, you know, some of these smaller towns, I've stopped for gas and visited their little downtown area and whatnot. So I thought I needed some Needleminders, and I really didn't. But I was looking for some for a friend. And my mom, I should say, I'm getting her into embroidery the same way she was getting me into knitting, and so I was looking for some Needleminders for her. And I found some that I just had to have. So these are all from Mad for Minders. So I got a sort of Ravenclaw because, of course, I'm a Ravenclaw, right? Stack of sort of the witchy hat and the owl cage and the books and the glasses and everything for my Frogwarts, which is going to be happening this summer with the Black Needle Society. I got Mama Dumbo and Baby Dumbo. I sang the Baby Mine song to my kid every night at least once for the first 6 years of their life, more or less. So when I showed this to them, they got a little teary-eyed. They're going to college in a few weeks, months, and so like we're feeling a little snuggly, and like this hit home. And then oh my effing god, it's the Artolfini wedding portrait. So if you're new to the channel, I'm an art historian, and I sort of call myself a medievalist, and I was trained as a medievalist, but I actually work on 15th century Netherlandish painting. And it's okay if you totally don't know what this is, but this is a 15th century Netherlandish painting. It's one that I've studied. It is so cool. Like, it's totally worth a Google. And maybe one day I'll do a little like mini blurb about it. But one of the neatest things is that Jan van Eyck, who's the artist, this is in the National Gallery in London, and totally worth a check out if you know, after the pandemic, get across the pond. But you see this sort of circle in the background? It's a mirror. And so the artist paints himself and someone else in the mirror, sort of outside the picture plane, which is totally revolutionary. And then he signs it real big above, and instead of saying like made by Jan van Eyck, he says Jan van Eyck was here. So it's this really interesting. Art historians still aren't entirely sure what to make of it, but anyway, clearly I have a thing for Jan van Eyck, and yeah, I love teaching this object. I love researching this object. It's so cool. So when I saw that as a Needleminder, suddenly I was like, I'm making a purchase. I mean, I don't really need any more Needleminders, but I cannot live without this one. Can't. But, you know, I can't have these travel alone. Like, we need travel buddies. We need to be safe, right? So I got a couple patterns also from Mad for Minders. And I sort of think of these as like a pairing, right? So I got the new Flosstube Friends. And I'm already thinking about, oops, there's the reflection, the conversions I'm going to do to sort of reflect my actual Flosstube Friends. So I need to figure out how to make one of these a masculine identifying individual. This is, if you've watched my channel, you know that I have pandemic hair. This is not my normal hair. So I need to figure out how to make one of these look like me, which means giving them like blue and green hair. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. I love this. And of course, to go with it, I got the I Belong to the Cross Stitch Nation by Heartstring Samplery, sort of the classic Flosstube Friends patterns. And I'm going to do them probably on coordinating fabric and sort of frame them in a similar way if and when I frame things. Because as I said, framing is not really my strong suit. So, in addition to that, I made an order with Valerie at Live and Die LA for one of her Friday night fabric. She calls them TGIFs. TGIF, thank goodness it's Fabric Friday night, where you go in and you sort of me please. If you are not part of the group, you need to join Valerie's group. And I say that as someone who will no longer be able to snag a ton of fabric, but right now you can get the fabric, and it is like chef kiss amazing. So I also received her fabric of the month, which is this beautiful like honey neutral called Tuscan. And then in a couple of Fabric Friday nights a couple of weeks ago, I started off by ordering a pattern. So I got Get Crackin' by Ink Circles because I have never lived near the beach, but I kind of have a thing for the sort of oceany stuff, and especially cephalopods and octopi and cuttlefish and all of that. So like, heck yeah. I'm also studying Dutch on my Duolingo, Netherlandish art, the Netherlands. You can sort of put that together. And so it has a little verse up here in Dutch that I kind of love. So anyway, I've had my eye on this for a long time. And then I got two fabrics that I'm hoping once I pull the colors, I can maybe use for Get Crackin'. So I have this beautiful, both of these are Lugana. This one's an opal, so it's kind of sparkly. It's called Sea Foam. And I know it's in the crinkle fabric or crinkle bag, but if I take it out, I'll never get it back in. But it's a sort of light green. And then I also got this one, which is called Stone Rose, and it's like grays and pinks. So one of these, and it's also opalescent, will be for Get Crackin'. I just have to pull the colors and do a floss toss and sort of see. But again, it's like travel buddies. So I also ordered, this is so cute, one of her flosses. It was Easter, so it's Peeps, like the obnoxious little sugar candy. Let's see if I can get the colors to come in. And it is like this amazing Eastery blues, pinks, purples, yellows. It is so springy and gorgeous. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it, but it's really lovely. Like, Valerie is knocking it out with her new floss. She started a Floss of the Month sort of club, and her stuff is just so pretty. So pretty. All right, we're coming down to it. So, a couple of smaller purchases, smaller-ish purchases. I'm kitting up a bunch of stuff for Mania. I'm going to probably have a different video in a couple of weeks about Mania, sort of right at the end of the month, although I know it's the 18th, so maybe next weekend. I'm also, as I said, participating in Frogwarts, so I'm like on the hunt for colors. So I found a stitching shop. Again, I'm like totally self-sabotaging here. I shouldn't share this knowledge with the world, but I want this, you know, I want my makers to do well and my distributors. And I'll link it below, but the Stitcher's Garden in Arkansas has some of the really hard to find overdyes. So I was able to get this, what is it? Oh, the Silken Colors, Silken Pearl for, I made an order with European Cross Stitch for the Alhambra Chatelaine, and it came with every color except this one, so I was able to get this one. And then a whole bunch of the colors, these are all really dark. They're Thread Gatherer and, or sorry, no they're not. They're Gast and Classic Colorworks for my Frogwarts. And so I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can sort of see. But some of these people have had a real hard time to find, like the Old Purple Paint, which I think is this one Old Purple Paint? Nope, that's Grape Arbor. Oh, it's this guy here. Oh, that's Black Raspberry. One of these is Old Purple Paint. And that one's been really hard. Here it is. Old Purple Paint. People in the Frogwarts group have been talking about like how hard this is to find. So, I went and looked. I still have a little list of things that I need to order. And they have everything I need in stock. So, they're very well stocked. And I haven't heard anyone mention them on Flosstube. Not that I watch a ton of Flosstube. So, but yeah, if you're having a hard time finding something, try Stitcher's Garden. It shipped really fast. It was really friendly. I got exactly what I asked for. It was great. There was one color though that they didn't have that I needed for my Frogwarts. So I had to make a different order, right? So I found CrossstitchingSupplies.com, which is an online shop, and they had the elusive Gast Ginger Snap. So I now have everything I need for Frogwarts Year 1 and 2, although I think there's a couple colors that I'm gonna try to get a secondary sort of skein for. I'm a little bit worried about how many stitches you need between the two. But Travel Buddy, I can't order just one little overdyed. Like, that's a little ridiculous to have that mailed out. So I added on a couple of patterns These are ones that I've had my eye on. They're not especially new, but I got the Tiny Modernist Octopus Biscornu. Like I said, have a thing for cephalopods. I love this. I've sort of had my eye on it and have wanted it for quite some time. And similarly, the hands-on design Fa La La Flamingo. I love flamingos. They're so fun. I've said it before, but I will always give a shout out to the Audubon story on Bob the Flamingo. That's sort of how I fell in love with flamingos. And yeah, I thought this was just awesome. So I snagged those. And then I got some of my Fabricious Fibers of the month in. Oh my gosh. Gwen, you are unbelievable and so great to work with. So somehow, somewhere, I deleted, apparently, my invoice for the March. I'm so sorry about the crinkle. But this one I can pull out because it's got the little thing. My March invoice. I'm not really sure how, but I did. And so at the end of the month, I messaged her and was like, hey, I don't think I have an invoice. I don't show anything paid. And she's like, yeah, it got deleted. I'm like, okay. But she still want it? I'm like, yeah, I want it. So she still had some, thank goodness. And so I got my Jade Dragon. Isn't that gorgeous? I have no idea what I'm going to put on it. But it's so beautiful. And then, so that was March, and then April's was Rockin' Robin. And I'm thinking between the two of these, one of these might be a good fit for that Kristen the Arctic Mermaid by Meridian Designs. So, I have another fabric I snagged from Valerie at Live and Die LA. And so once that gets here, I'll do a floss toss with the three of these and decide. And then I'm going to start it, just straight up. So I can catch up to Julie, even though she, to her own admission, never finishes anything. Which is totally fine. I mean, I do not have a, stack of finishes either. So I got two other small things. I can sort of drop my little box. So one is I ordered a little clay piece from Cloud9 Clays, which is on Etsy. I'm going to make some Needleminders out of these really adorable ones. So I got one for a friend. And then I got this one, I know he's in the plastic, but of this mama and baby koala bear on the branch. Isn't that adorable? And seriously, reasonably priced. Like, right now they're having a sale and stuff is like $2.50. So it doesn't have the magnet on the back, but I'm going to get some, E6000 and I can handle that. So I got that from Cloud9. And then I also got some things from It's Charm School. Allison is a crafty girl. So she sent me my little Ort catcher that I had pre-ordered. Right, my little Ort bowl. I haven't started using them yet because I was being good. Although, it doesn't matter. I could have started them anyway. But oh my god, it is so cool. I cannot wait to fill this sucker full of Orts. So it's got the two magnets, which are these gorgeous little roses, and you attach it, and then as you're clipping, you take your Orts, which are your, the ratty threads, right? So you sort of pull under, and whatever's at the end that's gross and not really usable, you shove it in here. Yeah, and it works, right? I've seen so many people talk about how this works. I'm so excited. I travel a fair amount, when it's not a pandemic, and so I have taken my stuff on a plane, and it's kind of a pain to have all this stuff on the tray table. So here's one last thing I have to worry about. So cool. And then I ordered a Needleminder. So I ordered this really adorable Just One More Page Hedge Pig. Can I get him to show up? Oh my god, he is so cute. I love him so much. And all of these are handmade, hand painted, hand designed, super lightweight. I'm shaking my arm around as if you can feel it, but is so awesome. And she has new releases every Friday that are very, very cool. She designs the coolest stuff. And then oftentimes if you she has like a little contest. So if you comment, then you go into a drawing to win a Needleminder for that week. And I won one week. So she had a whole series of friends. And one of them was the lobster with the little heart, because you're my lobster. Yep. You know, Friends hasn't really aged that well necessarily as a sitcom, but there are certain little scenes that just will. I mean, I started dating my husband in the 90s, and we called each other our lobsters, and so yeah, it's very sweet. So I have one more thing to show, and then I'm gonna have some yarn stuff. So I was investigating various local crafty things near me, trying to find some local places. And I came across this place, so Colorado Stitchers. Are you aware of the Creative Needle? It's like a quilting store and a sewing machine place that also has some embroidery and some cross-stitch stuff, and some of their inventory is really old. And I'm saying that like it's a treasure trove. So I found in the bottom, my mom found it like back behind something, this like box of old mirrors. I dug through. There was no like Lady of the Flag or anything that had, you know, was like worth a lot. But I found this one, which is called June's Pearl Fairy. I think it's still available, but I got it for 10 bucks. And I'm a June baby. So I'd been watching and looking for the June birthstone fairy and never found it. So here's the Pearl Fairy. I'll probably I have no idea what I'm going to do this. I have no like plans to start anytime soon, but I already can tell you I'm going to do a conversion because it's yellow. I don't like yellow. That's okay. But I think I can change her dress up and whatnot, which will be kind of fun. Oh, and I forgot I have this over here because it didn't pull over. So I got a Mandalorian box from Forbidden Fiber. This was so cool. So cool. So I'll just show real quick. It came with like this really cute packaging. Look at the little Grogu sticker. And I'm just gonna sort of show you like the highlights, right? So we've got a really neat scissor fob with a little frog at the bottom and little planet looking gems. That's super cute. We've got some, here we go, here's a Needleminder with the Jedi insignia on it. We have, this is kind of fun, This Is the Way hand sanitizer. Little caddy with green milk. So much fun. And then a lip balm from Forbidden Fiber of blue milk. Sort of smells kind of coconut fruity. And then of course, like, the best part is the Forbidden Fiber dyed stuff. So it came with I got a 25 count Lugana. I'll flip it this way so you can sort of see this like real pretty sandy neutral. And a glorious set, of beautiful overdyes, like, let's see if I can twist it. Look at those colors. And they have the funnest names. So we've got This Is the Way, and Tatooine, Boba Fett, The Child, which is a really fun, like, grassy green, and then Julep, Garnet, Magnetic Mahogany. I think some of these are part of their like standard line. Beskar. He's a little messed up. Smoke Screen. Wookiee. And Obsidian. And then these are all called for in the pattern that came in the kit. So, yeah, super cute. So I'm very happy with that. So that's all of my cross-stitch goodies. If you're interested in seeing my yarn work, stick around. Otherwise, I'll see you in a few weeks as I make all this noise setting my box down. Alright, so, it has snowed a couple of days, and so I'm trying not to pull out any of my stitches. Come on. So I have been working on my crochet lap blanket. I don't remember how far along I was. If I pull back, you can kind of see it. This is a pattern from Annie's Kit Club. I fell in love with the ads that were coming by, but I did not want to spend $250 for acrylic yarn. So I noticed that they had a very similar pattern that you could get for a digital download, and then I just sort of sourced my own yarn. And so I've been working on this, and I think these 4 stripes up here are the ones that are new since the last time I showed this. So that's been a lot of fun to work on, although I'm not working on it very much because I caught the knitting bug big time. My mom has been teaching me to knit. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So I've posted this on my Instagram, but my very first piece is I made this gorgeous jade green scarf, and it's all done in, I think it's stockinette stitch, and on pretty big circulars, and it does have 2 different shades. It's a little hard to make up, there we go, of green that I sort of alternated the stripes in, but it's real subtle. And I got the yarn on clearance from Colorful Yarns. So yeah, I'm like, it's all warm and snuggly. But after I made it, I was like, I got this. I wanna continue on. So we went back to Colorful Yarns. I got another skein of what did I get? Ridiculous Yarns, hand dyed, superwash merino in a DK. And I'm making a hat. Oh my god, I'm so proud of how this hat is looking. And of course, new hobby, I need the gear, right? So I got a little DPN case, which I'm using to just hold my circulars. Little stitch markers to sort of count my rows and things. And yeah, I got some knitting gear that I'm not showing off, but is definitely a new indulgence. But yeah, I love it. I love it, and I am over halfway of the sort of hat part, and then I'll close it up, and I got this tiny little bonbon to make a pom-pom to go on the top. Yeah, so that has been a huge adventure. And then I decided that I didn't just want one new craft, I wanted 2. So I put in an order, and it came for some English paper piecing. I've never done any sort of quilting. I have done sewing and done a sewing machine, sort of clothes and stuff, but I don't have my sewing machine anymore. So I got the pattern for the Diamond Dust pillow, and then it comes with the paper pieces. I have one of my acrylics. I need to source the others. And then I got the Tulip Pink Free Spirit Charm Pack. With all of the fun fabrics to use in my English paper piecing. I have no idea when I'm going to start this, but, and then I was at Joann's getting some DMC, and they had this really fun fat quarter, so I picked it up to do, like, the backing of my pillow. So, yeah, I'm still cross-stitching, but I'm knitting, I'm, Googling paper piecing, and, like, basically any type of procrastination that isn't, grading. Really, I need to be doing some grading. So, that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, all those kinds of things if you enjoyed what you saw, which I kind of hope you did if you're still here 47 odd minutes later. And I will see you in about 3 weeks. Thanks, everyone.